It all started when I moved into this old apartment building in the heart of the city. The rent was cheap, and being a struggling college student, I couldn't resist the deal. Little did I know, I was about to step into a nightmare. I never thought I'd be the type to believe in ghosts or anything supernatural. But after what I experienced in apartment 13B, I can't deny the chilling truth anymore. At first, everything seemed normal. But as the days went by, strange things started happening. It started with subtle noises in the dead of night, faint whispers echoing through the walls, and the sound of footsteps pacing back and forth when I knew I was alone. I brushed it off as my imagination running wild, until one night I woke up to find my bedroom door wide open. I distinctly remembered locking it before going to bed. That's when the fear started creeping in. Things escalated from there. Objects would inexplicably move from one place to another. I'd find my belongings scattered across the room as if someone or something had been rifling through them. But the most terrifying part was yet to come. One night, as I lay in bed trying to sleep, I felt an icy breath on the back of my neck. My heart raced as I turned around, expecting to see nothing but darkness. But what I saw froze me in terror. A figure, hazy and translucent, hovering inches away from my face. I screamed and scrambled out of bed, but the figure didn't move. Its eyes, hollow and lifeless, bore into mine with a chilling intensity. I could feel its presence, heavy and oppressive, suffocating me. I fled the apartment that night, leaving behind everything I owned. I couldn't bear to spend another moment in that haunted place. But even now, I can't shake the feeling that whatever lurked in apartment 13B is still... I was a 22-year-old guy at the time when I just took the plunge into adulthood and got my very first apartment in a high-rise building downtown. Moving in was exciting. The thought of having my own space, my own place to call home, was a dream come true. The apartment itself was on the 15th floor, boasting a breathtaking view of the city skyline. It was small, but cozy, with just enough room for all my essentials. I spent the first few days unpacking boxes, arranging furniture, and settling into my new life. But as the excitement of moving wore off, I started noticing strange things happening in the building. It started with little oddities. The elevator doors would open on random floors, even when nobody had pressed the button. Sometimes I could swear I heard faint whispers in the hallway, though there was never anyone there when I looked. I brushed it off as quirks of living in a big building, but then things took a turn for the unsettling. One night, as I was getting ready for bed, I caught a glimpse of something in the reflection of my bathroom mirror. It was fleeting, just a shadowy figure darting out of sight, but it was enough to send shivers down my spine. From that moment on, I felt like I was being watched. Every creak of the floorboards, every rustle of the curtains sent my heart racing. I started avoiding the hallways late at night, afraid of what might be lurking in the darkness. But the worst was yet to come. One night, I woke up to the sound of knocking on my bedroom door. At first, I thought it was just a neighbor, but the knocking grew louder and more insistent, echoing through the empty apartment. I mustered up the courage to open the door, but there was nobody there. Just an empty hallway, bathed in the dim glow of the streetlights outside. That's when I knew something was seriously wrong. I tried to ignore it, to convince myself that I was just imagining things. But the incidents kept happening. Objects disappearing and reappearing, strange noises in the dead of night, and that feeling of being constantly watched. In the end, I couldn't take it anymore. I broke my lease and moved out, leaving behind the high-rise apartment and all its unsettling secrets. But even now, I can't shake the feeling that whatever was haunting that building is still out there, waiting for its next unsuspecting victim. So, if you ever find yourself considering a high-rise apartment downtown, just remember, sometimes the view comes with a price you're not willing to pay. I was in my mid-30s, recently divorced and trying to start over. Moving into this high-rise apartment building felt like the right step towards a fresh beginning. The towering structure promised anonymity, a space where I could rebuild my life away from the memories of my failed marriage. The apartment itself wasn't anything extravagant, but it had its charm. With floor-to-ceiling windows framing the city below, it offered a view that was both breathtaking and isolating. I settled into the routine of daily life, grateful for the solitude the building provided. But soon, strange things started happening. At first, it was easy to dismiss them as quirks of living in an old building. Misplaced items, flickering lights, the occasional draft, nothing too out of the ordinary. Yet, there was an underlying tension in the air, a feeling that something wasn't quite right. As time went on, the occurrences became more frequent and unsettling. I'd wake up in the dead of night to the sound of footsteps echoing through the empty apartment. Sometimes I'd catch fleeting glimpses of shadows moving in the corners of my vision, only for them to disappear when I turned to look. The voices came next, faint whispers that seemed to float through the walls when I was alone. They were unintelligible at first, but as the days went by, they grew louder, more insistent, filling me with a sense of dread that I couldn't shake. Then, one night, things escalated. I was jolted awake by the sound of shattering glass, followed by the unmistakable sound of footsteps in the hallway outside my bedroom. My heart raced as I fumbled for the phone, my hands trembling with fear as I dialed 911. But when the police arrived, they found nothing amiss. No broken windows, no signs of forced entry, nothing to suggest that anyone else had been in the building but me. I tried to explain what I'd heard, what I'd seen, but they just exchanged skeptical glances and told me to get some rest. As I stood there in the empty hallway, watching the flashing lights of the police cars fade into the distance, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. And as I retreated back into the safety of my apartment, I knew that whatever was haunting that building was far from finished with me. I was 28 at the time, whom recently moved into a high-rise apartment building in the heart of the city. It was a big step for me, a chance to live independently and embrace the fast-paced lifestyle that comes with urban living. The apartment itself was nothing fancy, but it had a certain charm to it. Located on the 12th floor, it offered stunning views of the city skyline, especially at night when the lights glittered like stars. I was excited to start this new chapter of my life. But as the days passed, I started noticing strange things happening in the building. It started with subtle signs, the elevator doors opening on random floors, even when no one had pressed the button, and the occasional flickering of lights in the hallway. At first, I brushed it off as minor inconveniences, but then the incidents became more frequent and unsettling. I'd hear strange noises coming from the walls, whispers that seemed to echo through the apartment when I was alone. At first, I thought it was just the sound of the wind or the building settling, but there was something distinctly human about it. Then, one night, things took a turn for the bizarre. I was getting ready for bed when I heard a loud crash coming from the living room. My heart raced as I rushed to investigate, half expecting to find an intruder or a broken window. But when I entered the living room, I found everything exactly as I'd left it. No broken glass, no signs of a struggle, just an empty room bathed in the soft glow of the streetlights outside. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched, that there was someone or something lurking in the shadows just beyond my sight. I tried to convince myself that I was just imagining things, that it was just my overactive imagination playing tricks on me. But the feeling of unease persisted, growing stronger with each passing day. I started avoiding the hallways late at night, afraid of what might be waiting for me in the darkness. Then, one evening, as I was getting ready for bed, I heard a voice, clear and unmistakable, coming from the wall beside me. It was a whisper, barely audible, but it sent a shiver down my spine. I couldn't make out what it was saying, but there was something chilling about the tone, something that filled me with a sense of dread I couldn't shake. I called the building manager the next day, hoping to get some answers, but when I mentioned the strange occurrences, he just brushed it off, telling me it was probably just the sound of the pipes or the neighbors talking. But I knew it was something more than that, something dark and sinister that lurked within the walls of that high-rise apartment building. In the end, I couldn't take it anymore. I broke my lease and moved out, leaving behind the whispering walls and the sense of unease that had plagued me since the day I moved in. But even now, I can't shake the feeling that whatever was haunting that building is still out there, waiting for its next victim.